off of Chesapeake, and I got there at 7, and I left at 7:40. My salesperson's name was George. When I walked through the door, he made eye contact, and he came up to me, and he just asked me how I was doing. And
Okay.
it was dead silence.
Okay.
So I shook my hand out, and I was like, I'm looking to trade in, I guess.
So he asked you how you were doing, but didn't even ask you your name.
No, and then after he sat there and he asked me the type of car, and I said, oh, by the way, I'm Miranda, and I stuck my hand out. He never told me, he didn't
You
tell
took
me his
control
name.
there.
I had to ask him.
Right.
And then he was like, what type of car are you trading in? I told him a 2004 Toyota Solar, and he was like, is it paid for? Or, you know, I told him it's paid for. And then immediately then, he wanted me to come fill out a credit report. He wanted to prove my credit. So, and I told him, I'm just looking for a car. He didn't ask me what I was interested in or anything. And then so he told me to sit down, so I sat
Let's stop there for a second. What impression does that give you immediately?
He thinks that I can't buy a car.
And how did you get to that dealership?
I drove my car.
Right. Yesterday, when we did our little assignment, and I stood in front of the class, and I asked you to tell me who I am by looking at me, my age, my weight, my height, my hobby, baseball team. Who in the class nailed it? Nobody. Why? You didn't ask me. You can't assume, right? You can guess. Some were close, some were way off, but he didn't even, he just assumed. So he did what? He judged the book by the cover, right?
But he did tell me when I told him my name, he ended up asking me after he told me, he said his son's girlfriend's name was Miranda, and then he asked me where I lived at, and I told him, and he was like, oh, that's where I take my test cars to, and I turn them around and everything. And then he was like, oh, can I call you Miranda? And then that's when he sat me down at the desk, and he went to the back, and he sat there. He didn't come and ask me anything or anything, he was on the phone. And then, so I just sat there, so I got out, went outside, smoked a cigarette, looked around.
Oh, wow.
I went back in, and I just kind of stood there, and then he seen me, and he smiled, and then he got somebody to come out there and said he would be with me shortly. So I kind of sat down for a second, and I was like, yeah, I'm not waiting here. It was 40 minutes later, so I just got up and left.
Well, good for you. So you never met a manager?
No.
Didn't get a card?
No.
Didn't get a presentation?
No, I didn't even get asked what
Test
type of
drive?
car.
Nothing. So what was your overall impression? Would you buy a car from that guy?
No.
But you can outsell the pants off that guy, right?
I wouldn't even do that.
After this training, you're going to be a superstar compared to that guy. So I guarantee 12 months from now, you'll have a bigger W-2 than him. Okay? So round of applause.